Mouskin's Golden House, Story and Pictures by Edna Miller. In the woods, there are many tall trees and small trees that reach to grow tall in the deep shade. There are low-growing bushes with berries and seeds that pop and roll about the forest floor. Beneath them, all are tiny paths that only mice can see. One moonlit night, Mouskin followed just such a path to one of his homes in the chestnut log. And right in the middle of that very small path, Mouskin saw something that someone had thrown away when Halloween was over. He hid behind a log. Perhaps it was dangerous. Mouskin had never seen a jack-o'-lantern in all his mouse days. He wriggled his nose furiously at the strange pumpkin smell. He was so excited that he drummed his tiny paw on the hollow log. Mouskin was so interested in the jack-o'-lantern that he did not watch for danger with his broad shoe-button eyes, nor did he turn his large ears to the breeze to listen for the sound of wings, for owls and hawks and other creatures who wait to catch a whitefoot mouse. Suddenly, as Mouskin made a second turn around the smiling face, a hungry young owl swooped towards him. But before the bird could even blink his eyes, Mouskin jumped straight into the jack-o'-lantern's mouth. Once inside, he looked about. He was in a beautiful golden room, just the right size for a mouse. From one of the top windows of his new room, Mouskin could see the owl sulking in an evergreen tree. The first rays of the morning sun showed in the sky behind the owl. Night was over, and it was time for Mouskin to go to sleep. Mouskin felt safe inside the sturdy walls of his golden house. He did not awaken until evening when the katydids began to argue. Katy did, Katy didn't. After he stretched and cleaned his white undercoat, he began to explore his new home, scurrying in one window and out another. Now Mouskin was alert to all the sounds that filled the woods when the evening came. He heard a rustle in the bayberry bush and a soft step in the dry autumn leaves. He knew it was the cat. Just as the cat was about to spring, Mouskin dove into the pumpkin and began to house clean. Out of all the windows flew bits of candle and pumpkin seeds. The cat jumped, but not for Mouskin. He jumped straight up and ran as fast as he could to get away from the big round face with terrible teeth. The cat would never take that path through the woods again. The days grew shorter and the nights longer. Mouskin worked each night to fill his house with things to keep him warm and comfortable in his new home. Split grasses with his razor-sharp teeth and wove the long, slender threads around and around. He made many trips through the woods to find soft things to line his nest, little feathers dropped by birds in flight, thistledown and milkweed that grew in the clearing. While Mouskin was busy gnawing and nibbling and doing all the things that mice do, he found the time to watch the animals that passed by his golden house. One very chilly evening, a box turtle plodded by. He never looked up or down, but moved like a toy being pulled to the pond at the edge of the wood, to some tangled tree root beneath the ground, where he would sleep away the winter months. But when the turtle reached the jack-o'-lantern, he stopped in his tracks and stretched his neck to see if what he saw was true. Just then, Mouskin popped his head out of his windows, and then The box turtle lost no time in turning around and heading once again for the tangled roof beneath the ground near the pond at the edge of the wood. Most of the birds had gone to warmer lands. Only the phoebe was left in the thistle. The wind blew hard now, scooping up piles of leaves and scattering them about like hundreds of bright-winged birds. One day, the phoebe called to Mouskin, "Come south with me. Come right away. Your house will never do. The wind will blow, the snow will snow, and chill you through and through." The little mouse whistled a high, soft goodbye. He would not leave his golden house. A chipmunk hurried by, his mouth so full of nuts he could hardly speak. "Come with me beneath the ground, the house will never do. The wind will blow, the snow will snow, and chill you through and through." Mouskin scrambled up his golden house and slipped through a tiny opening at the top. He slid down the feathery stairway to the warm, soft lining below. Mouskin curled up, tucked his tiny feet beneath him, wrapped his long tail around some milkweed down, and pulled it closely around him and fell asleep. Little by little and bit by bit, something began to happen to the jack-o'-lantern. It began to close its eyes in the frosty air. It shut its mouth against the cold wind. The next day, the gray and the great white flakes fell upon the sleeping pumpkin. Inside, Mouskin was curled up into a tiny fur ball. He was asleep in his golden house.